It's 212 BC, Apulia, southern Italy. The fields around a small town called Herdonia are quiet, golden, and blissfully unaware that they're about to become a Roman mass grave. Marching into this peaceful postcard is consul Gnaeus Fulvius Flaccus, a man with a decent resume, a decent army, and a very indecent sense of caution. He's leading roughly 18 to 20,000 Romans and Italian allies, feeling pretty good about himself. The kind of "we got this" energy that usually makes the gods lean forward and grab snacks. Why is Flaccus here? Because after Cannae, Apulia basically turned into Hannibal's private buffet. Grain, cattle, allied cities, all fair game. Some communities flipped to Carthage, others tried to hedge their bets. Herdonia itself had already wobbled between loyalties. Rome wants the region back under control. Flaccus thinks plonking his army down near Herdonia will scream, "Rome is back." What it actually screams is, "Please ambush me." Some locals, who have a much better sense of self-preservation than their consul, warn Flaccus that Hannibal might be nearby, not in Spain nearby. You could hit him with a javelin if you had a good arm nearby. Flaccus waves them off. In his mind, Hannibal wouldn't dare attack a prepared Roman army head-on. The fact that his army is not actually prepared is, tragically, a minor detail. Scouts are lazy, foragers wander too far, the camp's discipline is relaxed. It feels like occupation duty, not a life or death campaign. Meanwhile, somewhere not nearly far enough away, Hannibal Barca gets the worst kind of news. Rome is meddling with his grain supply. Herdonia and its surroundings feed his army. Losing it would hurt. A lot. So Hannibal does what Hannibal does. He moves. Quickly, quietly, purposefully. He doesn't necessarily have more men than Flaccus, but he doesn't need more men. He just needs more stupidity on the other side. And on this sunny Apulian morning, Gnaeus Fulvius Flaccus is about to provide it in bulk. Before long, Roman sentries notice a rising cloud of dust on the horizon. That's never a good sign in Hannibal's Italy. Word filters back to Flaccus. Enemy troops are approaching. Some say it's Hannibal himself. Flaccus reacts like a classic Roman commander. He sprints from no danger at all, straight to everyone outside, battle formation, right now. There is no middle setting on this man. He orders his troops to leave the safety of the camp and fight in the open. The problem is that the open has been very carefully selected by someone much smarter than him. The ground near Herdonia isn't perfectly flat. It's cut by ditches, lined with vineyards, and broken by low ridges and folds in the terrain. To a careless eye, it's just countryside. To Hannibal, it's a stage with built-in wings, side corridors, and trapdoors. Hannibal's plan is elegant and evil. Put his main infantry where the Romans can see them. Hide strong detachments in the uneven ground on both flanks. Keep the Numidian cavalry ready to swing around behind the Roman line and close every exit. He has another motive too. According to some accounts, Hannibal hears that Flaccus planned to evacuate Herdonia's population and strip the area of supplies scorched earth Roman style. That means fewer bread loaves for Hannibal and more angry soldiers in his own camp. Absolutely unacceptable. So this isn't just a battle about honor or pride. It's about logistics, about who gets to eat, and Hannibal takes food very seriously. The Romans march out in a hurry. There's no patient scouting of every ridge, no careful probe of enemy positions. It's the usual Republican confidence. We see enemy, we stab enemy. Ahead, Hannibal's visible line forms up calm, composed, suspiciously well behaved. To the Romans, it looks like a straightforward frontal engagement. Tough maybe, but nothing they haven't seen before. What they haven't seen, because they didn't bother to look, is that they're walking straight into a net that has already been drawn around them. The Roman infantry advances with shields up, trying their best to look like a disciplined, unstoppable wall of steel and sandals. Behind them, Flaccus rides along, radiating the quiet confidence of a man who has never truly considered Plan B. On the Carthaginian side, the infantry in the center waits. No wild screaming, no desperate charges, just the unnerving stillness of troops who know the real plan is happening somewhere else. Flaccus sees the enemy line holding their ground and thinks, they're hesitant, we've got them. Hannibal sees the Romans trudging forward and thinks, perfect, right on schedule. When the two main lines finally clash, it's brutal but familiar. Shields slam, spears jab, swords hack. For a brief moment, it looks like any other ancient battle. A horrible, noisy mess, but still one with a front, a rear, and some hope of order. Then the sides of the world start to close in. From the concealed flanks, hidden Carthaginian and allied troops burst out of the folds in the terrain. They crash into both Roman wings almost simultaneously. To the men on the edges of the Roman line, the battle suddenly goes from push forward to why is someone stabbing me from the side? Panic ripples inward. Units that were already committed to the front now have to twist and contort to try to face this new threat. Officers shout conflicting orders. Cohesion starts to crumble. And then the rear goes dark. The Numidian cavalry swings into action, thundering around behind the Romans. They don't need to wipe everyone out at once. They just need to block the exits, the roads, the paths, the routes back to the camp. That alone is enough to turn a hard fight into a death trap. Suddenly, there is no safe direction. Front means Carthaginian infantry, flanks mean ambushers, rear means javelins on horseback. The Roman army isn't a formation anymore. It's just a big, confused, very killable crowd. Flaccus tries to impose order, to send reserves, to plug gaps that no longer exist as discrete gaps, because everything is breaking at once. The battle he thought he was fighting a clean, head-on test of courage is gone. What he has instead is Hannibal's specialty, a kill box, and he is standing right in the center of it. Very quickly, the Romans discover they aren't in a normal battle. They're in a live demonstration of how to envelop an army 101. Hannibal has turned Herdonia into another geometry lesson in annihilation. The pressure grows on all sides. The men in the front ranks struggle to keep pushing against the Carthaginian line, but they can feel the panic at their back. Soldiers on the wings find themselves attacked from unexpected angles. Shouts of "hold the line" begin to sound less like orders and more like wishful thinking. As the Carthaginian flanks close in and the Numidian cavalry starts circling, Roman units are compressed inward. The nice, textbook manipular system, those neat checkerboard blocks of legionaries, dissolves in the crush. Small groups are cut off, isolated, and overwhelmed. Standards disappear into the chaos and never re-emerge. The air fills with dust, screams, and the universal language of men who've realized that the script has gone horribly wrong. Some detachments try to break out. In a last burst of discipline and desperation, they form wedges and hurl themselves toward what looks like a thin spot. For a moment, it seems to work, until fresh enemy troops or a wall of cavalry meets them head-on and drives them back into the slaughter. Others try to fall back toward the camp, the most instinctive move in the world. But their path is blocked. Every time a group of Romans tries to run, they run straight into the Numidians, fast horses, faster javelins, and absolutely no mercy. In the midst of this storm, Flaccus fights and shouts, but command has dissolved into survival. At some point in the chaos, he is cut down. The consul of Rome dies not as a grand strategist, but as just another stick figure in the meat grinder he marched into. By the time the fighting finally dies, the Roman force has effectively ceased to exist as an army. Thousands of bodies carpet the field. Only a small minority manage to slip away individuals or tiny clusters who find a gap, drop their equipment, and run for their lives across the countryside. Herdonia has done what Cannae did on a smaller scale, taken a Roman army, put it in a box, and smashed it to pieces. When the killing stops, the field near Herdonia looks less like the site of a glorious Roman campaign and more like a cautionary tale painted in blood and iron. Flaccus is dead, his army is ruined. Hannibal has once again demonstrated that marching clumsily around Apulia is a terrible life decision. But Hannibal doesn't just count bodies. He looks at maps. Herdonia sits on a web of grain routes and local loyalties that have proven alarmingly flexible. The town has already flipped sides before. In his shoes, you don't want a key supply region to constantly ask itself, so, who's winning this week? So Hannibal makes a choice the sources remember very clearly. Herdonia is to be punished. According to Livy, the town is destroyed, and its population is deported to safer, more controlled cities under Carthaginian influence, like Metapontum and Thurii. In modern terms, it's like uninstalling an unreliable app from your logistics system. No more hedging, no more double game, no more local power base that Rome can easily reactivate. For the people of Herdonia, it's the end of their town as they know it. Survivors are marched away, their homes left to burn or crumble. They don't get statues, they don't get epic poems. They just get moved like game pieces on someone else's strategic board. For Hannibal's soldiers though, Herdonia is proof that their general still has it. Years into the Italian campaign, he's still outthinking Roman commanders and protecting his supply lines with ruthless efficiency. Another Roman army has gone into the grinder. Another consul has failed. On the scoreboard of tactical brilliance, Hannibal is still far ahead. Strategically, however, there's a problem brewing, one that even a masterpiece like Herdonia can't fix. Here's the great curse of fighting Rome in the 3rd century BC. You can kill their soldiers, you can wipe out their generals, you can stack up their eagles in a nice little trophy corner. What you cannot do is make them stop. News of Herdonia reaches Rome. Yet another army obliterated, yet another consul dead, yet another field in Italy fertilized with Roman ambitions. For almost any other state in the ancient Mediterranean, this would be the "we're done here" moment. For Rome, it's just another line in the ledger. The Senate doesn't start peace talks. It doesn't send groveling envoys to Hannibal. Instead, it pulls out its favorite solution: raise more legions. Draw deeper on the allies, the colonies, the citizen body, expand recruitment, squeeze Italy for one more round of manpower. They add Herdonia to a growing list: Trebia, Trasimene, Cannae, a bloody portfolio of disasters, and they treat it not as a final blow, but as an invoice. A bill that will one day be paid back with interest. That's the tragedy built into Hannibal's genius. Battles like Herdonia show he can still spring devastating traps, still destroy Roman forces, still terrify local populations into line, but they don't translate into a decisive strategic victory. Rome's alliance network, its political will, and its almost insane tolerance for casualties mean that no single battle or even a string of them is enough. So why have you probably never heard of the Battle of Herdonia? Because history likes tidy headlines. Cannae is the superstar, Trasimene gets the shock value, Zama gets the closure. Herdonia is one of the bloody middle battles. Smaller cast, same director, same moral. If you march against Hannibal without caution, without scouting, and with a head full of overconfidence, you don't just lose, you disappear. For the men who died there, for the townsfolk uprooted and scattered, and for the Roman Senate quietly adding another grievance to its long, long memory, Herdonia mattered. It was one more deep cut in Rome's flesh. And one more reason that when Rome finally won, it made very sure no one would ever put it in a kill box like that again.